Hello, everybody. It's me, 7th Hanuman, here for a live stream on YouTube talking about gang stalking and answering questions for targeted individuals. And also having open discussion with anyone that would like to join in. I will share the link. Just click on it, set up your screen name, and enter the live stream. Hey, Tom Hanks. That's a very interesting screen name. Is that your real name, or is Tom Hanks your favorite actor? Would you please explain if you don't mind? But that's cool. I like Tom Hanks, the actor. So, if any of you want to join in, feel free to click on the link. Um, if Nerve Gorilla is watching, sure, join in on this live stream. Okay, so it's not your real name. Okay. Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, it's a good name to have. I think it's kind of cool. Easy to remember, catchy, popular. So, I don't know if you guys noticed, but lately I've been uploading a lot of videos on the subject of paranormal and the unexplained. Well, I am a firm believer that gang stalking, it's not run by government. Hey, G Money. Hey, Burger Boy. Thank you for joining in. And the reason why I am a firm believer that gang stalking is not run by the government is because, based on my personal experience, I haven't done anything that would be valuable enough for the government to want to do this to me, good or bad. I'm just a normal person. And why would the government do this to me? And the only thing I could think of was back in the days, I tried to, they would tell me, oh, if you pick up some MJ right now, some green, we're gonna bust you. So I called their bluff, and nothing happened. That's the only thing I can really think of that would make them want to do this. But even then, that's not even worth for the government to do this. So it was quite easy for me to get over the idea that it's the government. It was fast for me to get over the idea that, oh, it's my neighbors. Everything just didn't add up. Oh, Tom Hanks wants to join in. Let's invite Tom Hanks. Hello, Tom. Uh-oh. Well, Tom, I don't know what happened. Can you click on that link again, please? So lately I've been showing a lot of videos on paranormal. Oh, here we go. Hello, Tom. Tom, can you hear me? Oh, your mic is muted. Okay, here we go. Can you hear me? You have to. Okay. Well, I hope by me showing you these video footage of something that you most TI are not familiar with, right? I know, like the elevator scene with Amber Heard and James Franco, talking about how there's some flickering in the background. The video on the electric mist, the shadow people, and also that most recent the Survivor clip with that slow motion of a dark object. Now I'm getting mixed review from people after watching that video. Okay, some people would try to use some type of shadow or an insect or inconclusive. Okay, sure, I will not disagree with any of those. And at the same time, what is the best answer for what was in the footage? Now I know, okay, some of you might say it's a shadow. I paused the video clip exactly where that dark object is over the face of the first contestant. It was covering the person's face. This is a dark object. It's not like a shadow where it just casts, a little bit of darkness over the person. This dark object was literally so dense. It literally covers the person's face and you can't see through it. And I just have to let you guys know sometimes it is, you see, it's exactly what you see, and it is what it is. I always talked about how it took me over a year for my mind to finally accept the idea that there are paranormal out there and these things are happening around me. Out of sight, out of mind. It's hard for me to really think that, oh, there's actually these unseen, invisible things around me that are interacting with me. As I'm watching this scientific video on the light spectrum, this guy was talking about how beyond the red light there is a infrared, which is invisible to our human eyes, and beyond the blue or the blue there's ultraviolet, which we can't see with our own eyes. So there's at least these two spectrums that we can't see with our eyes, and it's around us right now as I'm speaking. Literally, it's all around us, but we don't see it. Like infrared, it's around you, it's around me right now, but we don't see it with our own eyes. But is it interacting with us? Well, maybe not in a way with like intelligence, kind of like a real person. But then again, it is still there interacting with our body. It's like right there in front of us. It's all around us. And I don't know how else can emphasize on this idea that there are strange things happening around us other than try to find these video clips, try to find these videos to show you guys. And hopefully, just hopefully, hope that one day after watching the video, hope that one day in the future, you'll connect the dot. And that's all I'm asking for. Because I know these connections will come at a different time. And it depends on what we're doing, what we're experiencing, what's happening, what's the environment like. But these connections will connect. And when it does, I just hope that it will be easy for you. It'll be easy for you to confirm your findings. Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, hey, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing not good actually.
Okay. Where are you from, Tom?
I am originally from India, but now I am in Qatar,
In where? How do you?
in the Middle East.
Oh,
Middle
in the
East,
middle.
Qatar.
Okay, okay, okay. Cool. So you're Middle East. Huh? How's your? Would you mind sharing some of your gang stalking stories?
Yeah, yeah. So I just realized I was being gangstacked like 6 months ago. I think I know
6 months.
something was wrong. Yeah, around my surrounding, I actually noticed it like years before. Something was wrong, but I only realized it was gang stacking. That a thing called gang stacking was happening to me only 6 months back.
Okay. Now, what exactly happened, or what were the sequence of events that happened for you to finally kind of start
Uh,
researching about it?
yeah, the first thing I noticed with everyone, every new people I meet, they all hate me. Like they have this like hate, they know me for so many years and they hate me for like they've been hating me. Like they known me and they hate me for some reason. I noticed it with every new person I meet. Like it was crazy. Like everyone hates me for some reason. I noticed that. I just thought that the world is some like everyone is like that. I just thought it was like that, but then only I realized it was all like all planned. It was all planned. Then only I realized.
Now, when you said people hate your friends hate you, now, do you know for sure? Like, did they tell you that they hate you, or you kind of got a feeling
Mm.
based off of their response to you and the way they present themselves around
Yeah,
you, the
yeah.
attitude?
The way they respond to you. When you go outside, they will just stare at you continuously for half an hour or more. They will say something and laugh at you. It was going on for years. I didn't know it was gang stalking. But only after researching about it, I realized that it was all a technique. And one thing they do, like they sensitize us to some of the things. They do it repeatedly. So when we like normal things like checking the phone out, you know that, right? Sensitizing it to us to normal things like the color of the cars, certain hand signs.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I never got in the hand signs and the color of the card. Those two things never happened to me. So those two were
Yeah,
never a problem for me. But I know it's a problem for some TI.
uh,
Now, let me ask you though.
no, no, yeah,
No,
okay. Ask me.
I like I know gang stalking is real, and I would defend that. But what I also would not defend are some TIs out there are just too extreme. And I'm gonna try to
What
explain.
do you mean? Like too extreme? Like
Like, okay,
you mean like?
for instance. Now,
Mm,
when you mentioned the hand signs, okay, so
yeah,
obviously you pay attention to people, the the hand gesture, right? Now,
yeah.
when
When
you
it's
see hand
happening
signs,
repeatedly.
but when you see the hand signs, no, let me ask. When you see the hand signs, why would you have to make it a significant? Why do you have to emphasize on their hands? Like, why can't you just not even pay attention to the hand? Like, what is it about the hand sign that would make you feel like you're vulnerable?
No, I just told the hand signs because most of them are sensitized to this. For me, it was something else. I will tell you. For me, it was like when I go outside, when I go outside, they will just look at me. Some random people will be walking in the street. Huh?
Okay,
They will look directly at me. Like they know I am watching them. They will look at my face and they will spit on the floor. Yeah, right on the floor, they will spit.
okay,
Like
I
some
totally understand. I totally understand,
yeah, yeah,
and that is like for my video, I always teach you the TIs. It's the lower voice to skull telling you to pay attention to it and making you focus on that person looking at you, makes you think that when the person spit, makes you think that, oh, that person, it's showing a sign of, of
yeah,
disliking me.
yeah.
See, but so this is where you have to train your mind. From now on, you're gonna have to train your mind to not let your focus be directed towards that. See, because
No,
at
no.
some point,
Now I understood. Now I understood. That was the sensitization part. Like they were doing it on purpose. Now I understood. But
mhm,
because in the beginning you don't know what's happening, you're confused, you have so many theories and all, and you suddenly you go out with all this stress and everything, and the person, some random person coming directly at you, looks at your face, and he just spits on the floor. Like you
yes,
will get like yeah, shocked. Yeah, now I know it's all a technique. After
yes.
researching you will understand that, but before that I am saying that's
Well,
how they send. Yeah, that's how they
here's the
do it.
thing. Like the way I would recommend you is, as long as they didn't spit on you, you can't really do anything
Yeah,
about it because unless they
yeah,
spit
yeah. I
inside
can.
your home,
Uh,
they spit on your foot. If they didn't do that, then technically you're out in public. They can do what they want. I mean, so it's another
yeah,
way of thinking and try to tell yourself, don't let what other people do bother you unless, like I always say, unless they're literally within hands, arms distance, talking shit to you,
yeah,
directly staring at you,
yeah,
and then spitting on your legs, on your feet. Then that's a different story. So
yeah,
until that
yeah,
happens, like there's really nothing you can really do but then to control your own self and also try to change your mindset, try to change the way
yeah,
you see it. Like, you know, let me tell you, 4 or 5 years ago, I'll be exactly, you know, paying so much attention to it, and I would probably have a
yeah,
stare down contest with the person across the parking
yeah,
lot. You know, I
yeah,
would just focus on their
yeah,
forehead because that's the easiest.
uh,
Like I wouldn't look at them in the eyes. I'll just look at them right in the center where their forehead is, and that's the
uh,
easiest. Just have a stare down contest. But
yeah,
like I wouldn't do it nowadays. I wouldn't even engage in any activities like that. Like I'll just do my own thing, my own business. No one's talking to me. I
yeah.
wouldn't even waste my time paying attention to them. And it sounds like
And
you kind
they
of
actually
starting to
hate that.
understand.
Yeah. Uh, they like need all our attention for themselves. Like we can't focus on any other things other than our gangsters. Like when we go out, that's they need attention, our attention very much.
Yes.
That
And
I noticed.
so are you receiving voice to skull?
Yes, I am receiving voice to skull, but I didn't know that it was voice to skull. I thought it was just, my inner monologue. Like it was a very negative inner monologue, I thought. Only after knowing it was V2K, yeah, it
So
was
at first,
like pretty shocking.
in the beginning of your voice to skull stages, were you like hearing them on you know, as you're watching TV, hearing them through the radio? Like were you like also hearing them in like department stores, you know, places out in public? Like, but then later on you discover it's actually voice to skull. Is that correct?
Yeah, it started out like constant like inferior thoughts, like constant degrading me with my own voice. It started like that. Then I started hearing like someone speaking, but they weren't actually speaking. Like someone laughing at me, but they weren't actually laughing. They were laughing at some other things, but you know, they try to twist your mind like that.
Okay. But I want you to pay attention from now on. Every time you
Yeah,
start thinking about people talking about you or voice to skull, try to think of who is right initially, right before you start thinking about it. Another source is directing your attention to it. So it's like
yeah,
the source, I'd say lower voice to skull, telling you about some laugh that's about to happen, and then the laugh happens, and then all your focus is on it because that's how they do it. They try to take away your focus and your attention to whatever they're doing. And
yeah,
a lot of people, like for me, I wasted a lot of time out of my life just thinking about fantasies and thinking about stuff that they sent to my mind. You know, something
yeah,
could be good, like sports, you know, like basketball or football, you know, or some type of sports competition, or some scenario that could happen in the future, you know, like going out to places. uh this could happen, that could happen. It's like all these fantasy, and the next thing you know, like 40 minutes is gone. I just end up just
yeah,
dozing off thinking about random stuff for 40 minutes. And that is something that I hope you actually are kind of stopping yourself from doing, like getting
No,
distracted,
I
wasting time?
sometimes I get distracted a lot. Like it's sometimes difficult, but now after everything, I try to avoid it maximum.
Okay, that's good. So,
Okay.
what is the currently what is the thing that bothers you the most when it comes to gang stalking? What
Yeah.
is your biggest problem right now?
Currently, the thing that bothers me is like I noticed that some of them, like when I landed in the airport, okay, here in airport, I noticed that most of them, like they were reacting to what I was thinking in my mind. Like literally, they could hear my thoughts, something like that. They can read my mind. Everyone in the airport, or it's like some perps or some guys only hearing the thoughts, but like they can read. Can they read minds? Like our mind?
Well, the gang stalkers can read everyone's minds, and the
Like
gang
how are they
stalker
doing?
and the
Uh,
gang stalker can induce ideas into our minds. So, for instance,
yeah, yeah,
that like I mentioned before, like you in the airport, you walk by a person, you don't know if that person's a TI or not, but let's just say that person's a
yeah,
TI. So the gang
yeah,
stalker can induce a thought into that TI and let that TI believe that you are a gang stalker as you're walking past that person. So
yeah.
and because I know my gang stalkers, they do that to me. They tell me that when I walk by people down the street, they'll try to, you know,
Um,
send me
yeah,
thoughts that that person's a TI and they're trying to cause a scene by trying to make that person think that I'm a gang stalker. And
yeah,
maybe, one day that person might just lose it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
One day they will. Yeah,
start
they
confrontation
might
with me.
snap. Yeah,
But that's not gonna put the fear in me because I'm not gonna live my life being scared like that. So I just
yeah,
continue going about doing my thing because there's really nothing I can do other than just continue doing my thing. I'm not gonna constantly live in fear. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
And so for you, like the airport situation, yeah, the gang stalkers can read everyone's mind. And
Like so, they are reading our minds like by watching our actions, or they can literally see our thoughts. Or
well, see, the thing I learned from my experience is unless you sit there and for let's say for 30 minutes an hour just not think about anything, then
yeah,
you can if you sit there and dedicate an hour or 30 minutes and not think about anything, just relax. Over time, you're going to start to be able to get better at identifying when they start talking to you. So as you're sitting there
okay,
and relaxing, all of a sudden you hear like an idea or some type of a subject, like regards to whatever.
yeah,
Maybe usually for me it's telling me to go like do something around the property, like clean up or throw away some garbage or something in the dumpster. So as I'm
yeah.
sitting there, like these ideas will all of a sudden just pop in, and over time you'll get better at recognizing, because your whole objective was to sit there and not think about things, right? Just relax. So when you're not
It's
thinking about
hard.
anything,
Like they
uh,
trigger the thoughts in our mind. Like they know certain triggers that will trigger a thought, and you know, like embarrassing thoughts. That's what they trigger most of the time when I am in public. When I am surrounded by people, they trigger some embarrassing thought, and I will be, most of the gangsters will like respond to my actions, like respond to my thoughts. Like they will laugh at me, or they will look at me weirdly. But I noticed that everyone, everyone was doing that. Like they were in sync, you know, like a hive mind, like hive mind.
well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like for me, I'm already over the embarrassment part. Like
Yeah,
they said all kinds of things about me. They laughed at me.
yeah.
I'm way beyond that point where I actually even let those laughing sounds or those embarrassing thoughts or bother me. It doesn't bother me no more. Like they've gone as far as showing me like images of how like accidents happen with my loved ones and family, and I no
Okay.
longer let that bother me because it's just an image. It's just like a thought, like a fantasy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for someone that's vulnerable with no defense, when they beam in that idea, the thought of a loved one getting into an accident, that
mm,
person, the TI, would actually keep thinking about it, and they wouldn't
yeah,
know how to stop it, and they'll just keep generating thoughts, building on top of that whole uh, initial idea of an accident. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
And that's why I
yeah,
always, like, in my videos, I teach you guys to recognize when those negative thoughts comes in, and then stop it. Don't continue
yeah,
thinking about it. Don't build on it, because I also, until someone out there figured out how to completely block them from sending in thoughts. Based on my experience, I can't stop them from sending me thoughts, but I can stop myself from building on those thoughts. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And and that's one thing that I learned throughout the years. It's really is to just, if those thoughts are not helping you, don't waste your energy thinking about it. Just
yeah.
just focus on yourself, and those embarrassing ideas, the thoughts comes in. You hear people in the public laughing, in an area laughing. You have to not let that bother you. You're gonna have to let that
No,
humiliation
no,
go.
the embarrassing thoughts are not the one bothering me. I don't care what the gangsters are laughing. I don't care about that. What I really want to know is how everyone is in sync. Like everyone is responding. Like gangsters, they are like they have their only life is dedicated to this. They have no other thing to do better in life. Gangsters, I can understand. What about the normal people? That's what I need to know. I don't care about they knowing my these thoughts. They're laughing at me. I don't know. I don't care about that. But why would everyone take part in this? Like except
Well,
the gangsters. Like
here's the thing. Like, well, if I don't know if you watch all my videos, but I've been telling the
mm,
TI community, the
I
gang
subscribe that. I
stalkers.
watch most of your videos.
Okay, the gang stalkers.
I'm actually a fan.
Okay, good. The gang stalkers are not people, but the gang stalkers can manipulate people's mind.
No.
You get it?
Yeah.
So it's like everyone, like I always teach the community that everybody is a TI, but then there are the true TI like you and I. We have more awareness. We actually are aware something else is happening. So
Yeah.
everybody else in public are receiving the lower voice to skull, including you and I. And these
Okay.
lower voice to skull at a tenth of a second at that moment can make that person say certain things to you that are related to your own secrets. So for you, it'll be like, how would this person know? You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
because that person doesn't know it's the lower voices called triggering that person. Now, if that
Yeah.
person was a true TI and it has a good relationship with the gang stalkers, the gang stalker can actually work with that person, and the gang stalker can share secrets with that true TI that's working with that gang stalker. But their
Yeah.
relationship won't be gang stalking. Their relationship is just going to be like the person would actually be believing the gang stalker is their spiritual guy, right? The
Oh,
person actually believe that the gang stalker is like some higher entity, like some deity or something. Like that would be the
yeah.
relationship. It wouldn't be like gang stalking. But since our relationship is really bad, and we know we're going through these negative experiences, that's how we see it as gang stalking. And just
Yeah.
like in my videos talking about these magicians, right? There's regular card tricks, coin tricks, just really average stuff. And then there's like another level of magic trick where it's just literally getting your own show in Vegas, just like another tier of performing magic. And
Mm.
some of those acts are can't be done. It's unexplained. Like that lottery thing, that lottery act. How can those people call out the number that's on the lottery ticket? Something else
Yeah.
must have induced the number into their mind right before they call out the number. And based on my experience,
Yeah.
that's the lower voice to skull. And the lower voice to skull is in everybody's head. Like I have to tell you, the gang stalker. Okay,
Oh.
I know I'm 2 videos away from my final video on my series, and I would tell everyone what who the gang stalkers are. And the gang stalker, it's not like a person scale. It's not just a group scale. The gang stalker I will start showing you guys, you have to see them on a scale that's as big as the planet, as a as big as Mars, as big as Jupiter, like huge in size that are so big as humans can't even compare. And
uh,
I will show you this with NASA footage. Okay, I will show you this with other um, documented uh, videos and photos and I will just show all of that in my last video. And the gang stalkers are huge. They're bigger than mountains. They're bigger than the size of a state. They are huge, and there's a hierarchy of them down to individual level where it just attaches to each one of us.
like you
Basically, I
mean they are
really
not
am
even
talking
human?
about extraterrestrial alien. Really is out there.
Oh,
Hey EK, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
See, with my gang stalkers, it seems like I get them working through people more often. Like I know you always say, they're not people, and I guess I can see that, but it's a lot of actual people saying the things to me. I don't hear the voices in my head.
Well, initially, that's how I started by going to department stores. I would hear them, and for a while, for 6 months to a year, I was believing it was really the people out in public. Now, the only difference is, you know how based on where I live, I don't have close neighbors. That's the only thing I can think of that's different from other TIs out there. It's because I don't have close neighbors. So instantly, if I can hear them on the other side of my wall, I would check my CCTV. I would run outside. I would investigate. So I don't know if you can imagine how through many situations like that, that's how I eventually can come to an confirmation that it's not the people out in public, because I can literally hear them on the other side of my wall, and my neighbors on the other side, it's literally hundreds of yards away. So, and I never ever catch anyone on the other side of my wall. So to me, I just thought it was speakers. Okay, I talked about thinking it was speakers, but then I don't know how they have a power source to the speakers. How are they coming over here and replacing the speakers all the time? It just doesn't make sense. And knowing my life, I don't do anything that's worth to be gang stalked, because this is so expensive if it is real people. And that's one of the major secrets. It's hard for TIs to really understand this unless they experience it. And I know from your perspective, you know what you're going through, and I'm not going to discredit anything. I totally understand where you're coming from. And I'm just hoping that, by these information I share, maybe one day in the future, something can click for you. That's all I can do for you guys.
See, I see what you're saying, but like I think they are able to work through other people. Like I think they're able to influence other people to say things to me that they want them to say and stuff like that cuz
Absolutely. Yep,
like
I know what you're talking about.
I have like actual text messages and stuff of them saying really crazy stuff to me, so I know it's not all in my head.
Yeah, I one time I called many years ago. Okay, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. I told my gang stalker through voice to skull. I told him, because this is like in the beginning stage of me starting to believe or not that they can induce like conversation into people's head, make people say things like you're talking about. So I told my gang stalker through voice to skull, make my wife mention McDonald's. Right, make her mention McDonald's. Because I believe we're going on a car ride. We're going to the store, and in the car during that car ride, she did talk about McDonald's. So it was just that's just one incident, but it's also I called it out, and that there's many things happen after that. But I totally understand what you're saying. They can manipulate the people to say things to you, and then the lower voice to skull will kick in right afterwards to confirm to you that there is some correlation between what's happening, and most likely telling you they are a gang stalker stalking you. That's how they know. You see how the power of the low voice to skull can really like solidify an idea.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes any sense to you, but that's just my experience. Like, I won't discredit your experience, but at some point, I just hope you will find your way, like, out of this realm of wherever you are, because you're gonna have to investigate. You're gonna have to ask yourself: is it possible, after all these years, these people are doing this? You know, like,
I
and I would
mean,
imagine some TI after 10 years they we already got it figured out, but so far I guess I could be wrong on that. People could go through this for 10, 15 years and still won't figure it out for some reason. It must have to do with their experience, their living environment. Something is not happening enough for them to see out of another perspective. Because it required daily activity, something happening, you know, interaction, reaction, for you to kind of like get an idea what's happening.
see, I think everyone's works differently because, like, for example, I don't hear any voices or anything. I think I just get the lower voice to skull. I don't hear it, but they're probably affecting me some way. But like I've been surrounded by people before, and it's like they all have a hive mind. Some like it's not always like that, but I've been in situations like this where I'm with a group of people, and it's like they'll all be connected into one hive mind, and they'll start saying stuff to me that like I've never told anyone, like stuff only I would know. So
Yes,
it's
yes,
like I see what you're saying. Like they can work through the other people. It's
you're
just
right.
really powerful how many people they can affect all at once. Like they can take over a whole group of people.
Well, these things are, you're right. You could put it as the hive mind. You're absolutely right. Like, it comes back down to the one source of intelligence, because these gang stalkers, they operate through a source of intelligence, and us humans also operate through a source of intelligence. Is really is out there, and who's to say it's not the same source of intelligence? And it's like, and you are absolutely right when you have that feeling that how could these people know some of your secrets. Well, they might not connect the dots like the way you know your secrets, but they could just say those words, those trigger words. And those trigger words are caused
Right.
by the gang stalkers. And by saying those words, the lower voices skull will kick in your head, making you focus on the trigger words, and then they'll tell you and connect the whole story about how these people just might know your secrets. But I don't believe they actually know the complete story of your secret.
No,
Or
I
they,
agree
they
with
just
you. I don't
say these
think they
trigger words.
know. I don't think they know the complete story, but I look at it like this. Like, for example, you are aware of what's going on, right? So if like if you're aware this is going on, then I'm sure some of these other people out here are aware too, and they might be acting as like agents or something.
I'll tell you, I try to talk about awareness, but the lower voice of skull can still get me. It's like there's still many times they actually get me that you don't see, but it's
Right.
literally so far it's been a every day of living with it and recognizing different tactic they use, different ways for them to send in these thoughts. I mean, of course, it's good to actually be aware of what's going on with them, but they love to come in when you're upset and angry. When you're
Yeah.
upset and angry, they come in so fast, and it's I'm a victim to that. I have fallen victim to that, where I just kind of lose my cool sometimes, because they would make me feel like what's going on with me is I'm correct, and everyone is just like, I wouldn't think about other people's feelings or have empathy for other people. Like, I just kind of be in that really pissed off mode, and
Right.
that's what they want to keep me in, that pissed off mode, because I do believe they somehow use energy around us, and being angry and hate, that is the number one generator for energy.
And
As humans,
fear.
if you're upset, you're generating a lot of energy for the environment.
Yeah.
These things love energy, and that's my belief. Now, can I prove that? No, I can't, but that's just my theory based on my personal experience.
I agree with you there because that's something I've noticed. It's like they're always trying to get me in a state of fear or anger or some kind of negative emotion. And, like they'll like threaten me. They'll say they're gonna do this and that or whatever, but it never actually happens. And at first I was like in so much fear because I actually believed all this stuff was gonna happen, but then they never actually did it. So
Yeah, so you're sounds like you're on a good path, because I went through that. So I called their bluffs. They told me so many things about killing me when I'm sleeping, and I'm
yeah,
still here. So yeah, it sounds like you are calling their bluff. You start to notice they make false claims.
yes. Like so far, it's all been false claims.
So what is your most current like problem right now in your life, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, it started out last November. I'd been dating this girl for a while, and things started getting weirder and weirder. And then all of a sudden, one day, she starts texting me like death threats and stuff, like in this kind of like weird subliminal code type way. And
That's no good.
yeah, and so I had no clue what's going on. I told my parents about it, and they just thought I was completely crazy. So I ended up in the psych ward for a few days. And when I was in the psych ward, literally everyone in the psych ward, the patients and staff, were all gang stalking me, like all saying like the trigger words and all like talking like it was like they can read my thoughts and see through my eyes and stuff.
Oh yeah,
And then
certain places
Same
are
thing.
heavy. Certain places are heavy, like prisons, those mental hospitals. Uh, Even hospital in general, like places like that, they're very heavy in the in controlling the people that's within the building.
yeah,
So
someone in the chat asked about the text messages.
yeah.
They would word it certain ways, so like it was always worded in a way where like I couldn't show it to someone and they'd be like, "Oh, that's a death threat on your life." It was always worded so like I would never be able to use it as evidence against them or something. They'd say things like, "Oh, are you gonna come over and kill me tonight?" Or they would like say it like, it's hard to explain. I wish I could show you a
I
picture or
have a
something.
quick question for you. Hi.
Hey,
I
Hi.
just
developer.
have a really quick question. When was this? How long ago did this happen?
The psych ward, or
Yeah, the whole experience,
it started
trauma.
it started in November last year, so November 2021. And it went on, it kept going on and on till around February. I completely cut off all contact with that girl. Somehow this girl I was dating was like a conduit to all this stuff happening to me because as
Okay,
soon as
so
I
were you
cut off
having sex?
yeah.
Okay, that's why. You're not allowed, like, for some reason, we're not allowed to have sex with people while we're going through this, whatever, this stalking process.
See,
We're
that
not
makes sense to
allowed.
me
It'll
because
cause more problems. You're not
that
a
make
spiritual. So what I'm saying is that you can't, but understand the spiritual aspect of that too. We're supposed to be spiritually fighting our temptations, and that means sex, coffee, cigarettes, everything, eating, and things like that. So when you have sex, my theory is that the demonic attacks you more.
see there must be something to that because as soon as I cut off all contact with her, it chilled out a lot. Like things
Yes,
aren't all the way
because the
back to
sex
normal,
though.
but
But I wanna connect you with the sex portion and understand the spiritual aspects of temptation.
right.
See,
You know the connection though between temptation and the sexual energy? Sex energy is the strongest energy. It's what the demonic uses or people use to tie each other to each other. Because as soon as I
Right.
have sex with a guy, I'm connected to him emotionally, usually when two humans have sex.
Right.
So then you get like these soul ties or whatever because the sexual energy is powerful. So you have to use it wisely.
And see, this girl, she even said she did like a love spell on me and like stuff like all kinds of crazy stuff.
The girl is a gangster, bro.
Yeah,
She's a
she's definitely
honeypot.
a gangster.
Yeah, to trap.
Yeah,
So
me.
Yeah,
okay, so she's gone though. How long ago was this? Like I guess when did you get detained or when did you go? Did you get in trouble with the cops?
No, no, I just went to the psych ward for like a week
But
because
why weren't the cops there? Like you didn't get there was no like law enforcement forcing you to go?
no, I just went because I I was at my parents' house and my mom was really worried about me and basically I wasn't sure if I was crazy or not either, to be
Good
honest
for
with you.
you.
So
I'm happy for you. I'm glad you willingly went now so you can experience it instead of getting in trouble with law enforcement because it would have just cost you more money later.
right,
Yeah, so what they're trying to do, and you did the right thing. I can't believe you did that. That's amazing to have enough balls to do that. You know, I just want to say, I'm like shocked.
well, thank you. I
Yeah,
mean, I still to this day, sometimes I look back on everything that happened and I'm like, am I just crazy? Is it like
yeah,
it makes
sure, why
makes me
not?
feel
So
like I'm
what?
crazy.
So what if you're crazy? Who cares right now? It's not going to matter in 2 years, I promise. Remember in
Yeah.
high school when you had all your high school friends and they were all important and you thought they were great and now they're like gone? Not even
Hmm.
next to you, are they?
Right.
That's what this is going to be like. None of that's going to matter. None of it.
no, no,
It's going to be,
it's going to matter. They want you in the psych ward. You know why?
yeah, they want
Because
you there, but it doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter though. They put you
no,
there, but it's not going to matter later. Like you needed this to happen. What I'm saying is you needed this to happen because it's
I'm
better
saying,
in the
okay,
yeah,
long term.
what you have to say, Tom Hanks?
yeah. When you come up with enough evidence, when you come up with enough evidence against this stalkers, the one who's constantly stalking you, the people, you actually need to catch these people, right? We can leave them alone like that. When you actually get some evidence, they can use this against you when in court. I
I don't think
recently,
that's going to matter though. I'm saying I don't think that's going to matter in a
why
couple
is it?
years. None of it.
Why does it not matter? Because
Because I don't think it's. I just think that people are going to worry. They're going to have other problems that I don't know. I don't know. I think this is eventually going to change. Things are going to change. That's
Well,
all. That's why.
okay,
no,
for
no, they can get away with this. Like they are torturing and harassing us, and
It's
most of them
spiritual
wouldn't
though.
leave them alone.
see,
It's
No,
spiritual.
there's really
not.
hard to catch
Uh,
something that's more powerful than us. It's all we can do is just educate the future generation on how to go about uh, living with these things that are around and, and and be better humans. And to do that, we're gonna have to change the education system. We have to actually change the curriculum, the mandatory curriculum of so every kid in school is gonna actually have to take a certain class on this, because I like
um,
okay, let me change the topic real quick. Like for the love spell, EK for the love spell, if you believe in that love spell will have a lot of power.
Right.
So, and that's what the gang stalkers they always use your what fear you have in your mind. So if you're gonna let that love spell bother you, they're gonna actually start building on that idea. Because
Right.
I kind of went through what you went through. Like I with my ex girlfriend, I talked about it a few times, and after I stopped talking to her for many months, everything was quiet. I was peaceful. And only then after that, I moved to a new property. That's when my gang stalking started. But then now thinking back on it, my gang stalkers have been there even before I realized gang stalking started. Does that
Yeah,
make
I
any sense?
think I think they've been here my whole life, and I just didn't
Exactly.
realize it until it was like
Yeah, even before when
unignorable.
you were born, like
I one thing I can recommend all you listener, okay, think back in your childhood. Think back because you know yourself the best. So think back on one incident where you had an idea and you kind of doubt the idea, where you kind of think about, wait a minute, that's bad. I shouldn't be doing that. Like, if you can think back on that one moment, that was the moment the lower voice to skull told you to do something that you knew it was bad and you shouldn't have done it or shouldn't do it. So if you can think back in your life on that moment, then that's at least how far back those gang stalkers been there.
Yeah, and it explains a lot for me. Just like when I think in the past now and all kinds of things that have happened in my life, it's just like, oh, this explains a lot.
Yeah. Like for instance, like I remember one time, I when I was a little kid, with the original Game Boy, I my mom promised to take me to the mall and get a new game. And something happened. She couldn't go, and I was really upset at her. And I remember getting an idea of going into her purse and taking money out, and then go to the mall by myself and just buy the game. Which I did do that. I did stole money out of her purse, but
My nephew did that.
I got caught, and she gave me a big lecture and all that. I kept the game though,
Mm.
but thinking back on it, like I wouldn't steal from her, but that one day an idea popped into my head and told me to go steal money from her purse. And that was the lower voice to skull telling me that. Knowing
What?
me as a person, that is.
So when you say lower voice to skull, do you just mean like it's like
It's an
affecting your
idea.
It's like affecting your subconscious, so you can't hear it. You don't actually hear a voice, but it's affecting you.
But it's like, yeah, it's like all of a sudden an idea pop into your mind. Or all of a
Right.
sudden, like you start doubting yourself as the person that you are, Let's say you're an honest person, you don't steal, you don't cheat other people out of their things. All of a sudden there's a moment where you just actually went against your belief and you went and do that. Well, that influence comes from another source. That influence is the lower voice of skull pushing you across your boundary, out of your boundary, and cross the line. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's
It.
actually a lot of incidents like that. As if you think back on different situations that happen in your life, you're gonna start realizing there's actually happened a lot more often than you realize.
Yeah, and it seems like they're trying to push us down a certain path too, because like
Yes.
like when this was really intense going on, I almost felt like I was in some kind of like puzzle game or something. I had to like make the right moves to get through it, but
Yes.
every single time the gang stalkers lead me down a dead end road. Like it never works out good if I try and like work with them.
Well, see, that's the idea you're gonna have to change. Okay.
Right. Well, what he's talking about is that it trapped him. It tried to trap you in a pocket dimension where there was
Exactly.
nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
And well, I don't really know what to say about that because you would know your experience better. Um, I mean, I would just have to tell you that change your mindset to be more positive. Like, stop telling yourself from now on that it takes you down a path where there's nothing you can do. Don't think that way no more. You should always try to think about a way to find yourself, pull yourself out of it, out of any situation. Once you start doing that, gradually you're gonna become better and better at it.
Right.
And, and a lot of times these gang stalkers, they'll try to wait for that one moment where they feel like they can really make you to put a lot of fear in you.
Yeah.
Okay. And
you
if
know,
you
they
can
can
pull
literally
yourself
like
out of that,
smell fear.
if you can pull yourself out of that, then you just took away one of their weapons. So it's like their options is getting less and less because you were able to overcome and pull yourself out of that situation. And now you actually are more educated. You actually understand it more. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the more you pull yourself out, the better you get, and the less option they have against you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like they do everything in a way, like you guys were talking about collecting evidence about them and stuff earlier, but see, in my experience, they work in a way where it's invisible to most people. It's like you really can't get much evidence on them because even though they might have like 10 red cars driving past you or this or that, blah blah blah, it's never like super
Yeah.
incriminating evidence.
No, because
Yes.
what we to be honest, like what are the red cards really doing to you? Like
Right.
they're not
And
really
that
doing anything.
it's I think it's all trying to affect our subconscious somehow.
Exactly, because the TIs are the one paying attention, giving the attention to the idea that the red cars are really bad. You see what I'm saying? And once they got the idea in their head, they don't know how to stop the thought from continuing developing. So they'll just end up for the next 30 minutes constantly building on the idea about these bad, red cars or whatever, 10 minutes thinking about it, keep building on that idea. And over time, it turned, the TI spent hours and hours of his or her life thinking negatively whenever they see a red car.
Hmm.
So
Right, and they think that it's negative. I remember when I first started seeing all the red, I was like, this is the blood of Jesus, and we're going through a rapture harvest. Like, I never thought of it as gang stalking.
yes, because
Never
that's what you
once.
know.
Never ever did I ever see it that way once until I discovered it almost a year ago. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I started communicating with the gang stalking community, but I'm a spiritualist in study, or I study a bunch of spiritual stuff, and I discovered this, and I'm like, no, people, this is your spiritual ascension process.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, gang. See, what I learned is that the gang stalkers can use you, but then it's only what you know as a person. So each person knows different things. Each person have different skill set. Well, the gang stalkers are limited to whatever that individual knows in the skill set that individual possess. So if so for developer is really into the spiritual ascending, the Jesus and the Bibles. So that's what the ideas should be getting is more related to that or any connection.
Exactly. Yes, you totally get it. I can't believe you guys are kind of awesome.
Yeah. So for a person whom only believes in science and nothing spiritual, then the gang stalker will use all science ideas uh, to reinsure the person's thought or to manipulate the person's thought using science, basically really playing that devil's advocate and really like guiding the person towards a direction in their thought process.
See, I had like a really huge spiritual awakening in 2020. I just some stuff happened and started seeing things a lot differently and got very spiritual.
Was that before or after the female?
Um, it was like I had met her, but I wasn't hanging out with her yet.
Oh,
And like,
see? Okay, see what
and,
happened? He had met her, but they haven't had sex. It's about the sex.
right, and there's like a trickster aspect to all this because at first, like everything was going really good, and I'm like, oh wow, the spirits are helping me and this and that, blah blah blah. And then it like turned really dark once all that other stuff started happening.
Well, what about right now?
Right
How are you
now,
doing right now? Forget about November. Forget about all that. It's all over. Now what? Do you have a goal for next month or something that you want to complete a task or some type of trip or I don't know, vacation or
yeah, I'm an artist. I'm trying to get back into my oil paintings again. Um, I like the. I haven't really even been seeing red cars or anything that much lately. Like that's all kind of chilled out. I still get people on the internet that'll like trigger me sometimes, like perps. But
are you processing the information and communicating and expressing yourself in some way? Like
yeah,
on the online in response to all that?
yeah, that's helped me a lot. Like I found some like TI things on Discord, like TI communities on Discord, and I found it helps me a lot to be able to talk about this stuff to other people because like I can't talk about
You
it
know
to.
what's funny to me, and a lot of people don't talk about this. I don't know why. Why is this happening to people all at once, all of a sudden? And it was never like this, 20 years ago.
I don't know.
Well,
Yes,
I
because
believe this has been happening for a long time. It's just gang
Yes,
stalking is a modern day phrase for uh, people that are really into science and the majority of the TIs and gang stalking believe is the government. So it's just the way we analyze the information, the data that's in front of us. But the actual experience, like the event, it can be said the same for someone have gang stalkers, but then a good relationship with them, so they wouldn't call them gang stalkers. They would actually call them something different. You see, but it's because us TI have negative experience with these gang stalkers. Our experience is make us led us to the gang stalking community, the TI community. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's all about perception. Like they're trying to alter our perception of things and make it negative, but I like developer was saying, I think this is part of the ascension process, and it's all about trying to transmute whatever this stuff is going on
yeah,
and
so
turn it into a positive thing.
you're the designer though, and that's a lot of people like you. Your thoughts are kind of leaking out into the universe, and you're designing.
Yeah.
So, so the more you like journal positive outcomes in your life, like if you just journal and wrote positive outcome or whatever the outcome you want or what you want in life, not what you need, because people need packs of cigarettes and they need food. Something that you're passionate about, and it kind of manifests. It helps you. I don't know. It helps me. I guess it doesn't help you. I don't know.
No, I understand what you're saying. I totally understand
When
what you're
you
saying.
write your thoughts are important. I guess that's what I'm saying. Your thoughts are important, and when you write your thoughts out, they become clearer and clearer on what you want.
Yeah, and I have to say something though with the gang stalking. This the experience we are going through. This is the battleground. Okay, this like I'm telling you guys how a person might have a good relationship with the gang stalker, and then they wouldn't uh, uh, identify it as gang stalking. They wouldn't identify themselves as a targeted individual. But because we have bad experience and we're actually going against the grain, we're actually not being just going along with these gang stalkers. You know what I'm saying? Like we actually are aware of what's happening. This is the battleground. Like this is where we learn about what's going on. We learn about these entities, and we really are the one that's really getting the full experience. I believe.
I am saying that it's not fully spiritual. Like there is some scientific part to it. Like I read about an article. Like the Jesuits. Jesuits were doing it in the 1700s. The same thing. Like spreading rumors about a guy and actually making him look like crazy. And the Germans did it, like the Stasi hand signs. It was going on for years. Like before the 1700s, it was happening. Now the technology is really advanced. Like they now have machines to project thoughts into our brain. Like it's not fully spiritual. Like it has some kind of a spiritual, no, scientific level to it. Like most of these are used and done by technology, using technology.
Well,
That's what
Tom
I
I'm
Hanks,
saying.
can't.
I
I'm
agree
not.
with I agree with what you're saying, Tom Hanks. Like I see I do think there are people in on it and like working with these forces, but I think it all originates from a spiritual origin of some
Because
like I think it all starts out spiritual, then it gets filtered
Yeah,
into the physical.
see, because behind what you just said, Tom, behind all those events, there's still the lower voice to skull. You see what I'm saying? So behind
yeah,
any greatest war in human history, leading up to the war and all the events that happened, all the decisions, behind all of that, there was still the lower voice to skull. So that's what I'm trying to say. This, what's happening, it's been around for a long time, and
Yes, a
it's
long
still
time.
here. The lower voice to skull behind Hitler, it's still around till this day. Where, I don't know, but these ideas and these different events, it all happened because people's mind were led or guided towards that direction. And it's really is, there's, I believe there's two forces out, like good versus evil. There's both forces working. But then at times I also have a feeling that, is it possible that it's just one source playing both sides, playing the good guy and the bad guy?
I've gotten that feeling before.
Yeah, because okay, like let's talk about. Uh, I'm not that familiar with the Bible, but with the tree with Adam and Eve, at the tree.
Right.
Maybe develop
Guys,
you
guys,
understand. Like, was God
uh,
actually there present at the time, or were they actually receiving voice to skull directions?
I think this has been around since the beginning of time for humans.
And okay, so here's my what I have to say about not eating the apple, right? The instruction. So was God actually there? Was the picture of God was there, or were they just receiving voice to skull directions? And after that, okay, so with the
M-
snake,
Maybe
taking a
the
bite of the
snake.
apple.
Yeah, maybe the snake is the voice to skull.
But here's the thing, though. See, that's what people believe. But I'm trying to say, what if God used the voice to skull and tell them and make them believe? Okay, using lower voice to skull, making them believe it's the actual snake talking, because
Okay, I see what you're saying.
the snake don't have mouth and tongues like us. But
Right,
if
because
they are receiving lower voice to skull, they could, Adam and Eve can have the feeling that the snake is talking to them, because the snake was the only other creature around. Does that make sense? But
yeah,
this
I
whole
think
time
you're
it could have
right.
been God all along.
I think you're right because like I believe like everything originates from source, both good and evil. So when it all comes down to it, God created evil too. So it really is kind of one thing going. It's like duality is an illusion, and it is all kind of an illusion.
So hold on a second. Can I ask you something? Um, EK.
Yeah,
Um, where does your belief structure foundation at? What's your religion, beliefs, karma, laws of attraction? Do you understand narcissism and other things like that?
I
Like, what
I
do you
got
believe in?
I got to a point where now I'm almost like I don't believe any. I believe in source. Like there's the original source where everything came from. And now I try not to believe anything because as soon as I start believing something, that's how it seems like the voice to skull gets me easier.
Right. You manifest your own reality. You're manifesting exactly your thoughts. Is that what you're
But
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why you're the designer here. So it's important you have positive thoughts. Like, do you ever? What do you guys? What are you doing for your meditations right now, or your self care? And are you? I don't know. Are you in shape? Can you go to the gym? How can you improve yourself? Or what are your goals for yourself? I guess
There's a lot more I could be doing for myself. Yeah, like
just on
definitely.
you, not about like
But
chores around the house. I'm talking about you, like your nails, your hair, all of it, skin, everything, like
my main
head to
goal
toe.
right now is to get my paintings going again because like I'm a oil painter and I was making good money selling oil paintings and not just the money, it's like that's like what I like to do in life. And I
So
kind
were
of
you
let all
selling
that
them
go.
at like the flea market or like
Yeah,
Venice or the
I was
beach? Or,
selling them. I was selling them online and like in galleries. I was getting up to like 500 a painting.
oh, they must be large canvas.
They're just I'd show you a picture right now. I don't know. I can't put a picture on here. But
Yeah,
yeah,
my camera
um,
doesn't work either.
I feel like that's like my thing. Like I should be doing, and I let that all go a couple years ago, and haven't been painting much anymore. And I'm trying to set up my studio and get back into that. But yeah, I need to. There's a lot of other stuff I could be doing too to stay more positive because that's
Right.
obviously got stuff to do with it. Like quit smoking cigarettes.
Oh yeah, smoking is so bad. I used to get gang stalked by smokers.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll bring in the smokers right next to me when I'm eating. No, they get real close. Yeah.
blowing smoke all in your face.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
used to get gang stalked. Not so much anymore. It comes in waves, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
it does. Yeah,
Yeah, you're noticing. I understand you. You did good. You've made some good decisions for yourself. I think
yeah.
so.
I feel like I got. I see. I feel like there's like a force, like a good entities helping me out too because there's so many times throughout this journey where I could have like screwed everything up way worse, like real bad, and everything's not even nothing's even that bad right now for me. It just the whole thing is kind of a shock going through like this all of a sudden happening in your life and like changing your whole perception of reality. Besides that, I mean everything's good. Hello?
Yeah, it's yes, I agree. You're doing yeah, and then just and every day you know do something right each day, one
Right.
day at a time. Yeah, you have to take some action, whether it's small or large or whatever, each day towards designing your thoughts in positive ways. I guess I don't know how other way to put that. But yeah, I think you're doing good. Like, do you like nature? Nature heals a lot of people. Being around horses,
Yeah,
feels good.
it's really grounding. Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
stay grounded throughout this.
yeah, barefoot walking and things like that. And
Yeah. See, you know what? You want to hear something really weird? My gang stalkers were always trying to do like that girl and like some of our friends and stuff. They're always trying to get me to go on a road trip like 3 hours away out into the middle of nowhere to a state park. And to me, that really makes me think of like, I don't know if you've ever heard of like the missing 411 or like the Fae. I think I might
so,
be
did they? You
cutting out.
think they tried to take you out there and do something, or what?
Yeah, I mean that's where they're trying to make me think that like they're trying to like
Yes, they're trying to
sacrifice
feed
me
on.
to
No,
like
yes.
the
Hold
Fae
on,
or
they're
something.
trying to feed on your thoughts. Yes, they're feeding on you. Feeding.
Yeah,
Anything.
yeah.
So your thoughts are so important. You're so important.
I'm just like I always think back on it like, man, I wonder what would have happened if I would have went out there. Probably nothing, right? It's probably just the whole fear thing. Am I cutting out?
No, you sound good to me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Am I yelling? I usually yell over my fan, and I
No,
get
you're good.
trouble for yelling all the time.
Yeah, no,
It's
I was
getting hot.
thinking
Where are you? Can I know where you're at? Just like region? Not. I don't need to know the state. Just
I'm
what
in
side of the
Ohio.
country.
I'm in Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a point I thought this whole thing was like connected to the Fae and um like I literally thought all these people were like working for the Fae or something, like trying to I don't know, like sacrifice me to some like demons or
Yes.
something.
Yeah. Whatever you think, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna feed on any imagination you got. This thing's gonna create it right there and get inside and dig inside your childhood. And it's very personal relationship. The spirituality is a very personal relationship with yourself.
Yeah. And I know what you're saying about like our thoughts leaking out. It's because it's like my thoughts would like leak out into other people and they'd start saying them and stuff.
So yeah, they wanna. Are you getting okay? So are you getting heavy numbers?
I was back when this was going on, when it was really intense. I was getting hit with the number 22
Nonstop.
nonstop. 22.
Yeah, that's what I like to see. The master builders. When did you get that?
It's like it was like in from November to like February.
Damn, all
Like I
straight,
was
just
getting
2222s, just forever.
no, just 22. But the weird thing about it is like it connects to like my past too. Cause
Yeah, it
like
has to, just like
for example,
mine. Yeah,
like my brother, my little brother died when he was 22, and he died on July 22nd. And then that girl I was dating, her birthday is October 22nd.
and it wants to get inside your mind that way. It wants to, it wants you to overthink it when in reality, you're aligned with yourself. You're where you need to be right now. You're in a good space. You understand what's happening.
Yeah.
That's what it means. People fear it though, and they think it's schizophrenia, but it's not. It's just receiving. Uh, Numerology is the scientific term for it. ESP, telepathy.
Yeah,
Have you
angel
ever
numbers.
thought about somebody? You thought about somebody, and then they called you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
telepathy.
yeah, see, I started getting that a lot like
Yes,
in
I get it.
2020. It started out I started getting stuff like that happening to me a lot, but it was all really positive, and I was like doing better than I'd ever been doing my whole life.
So
And
I walked in. Every time I would walk into a building, the phone would ring.
yeah.
Every single time for like a week straight. I was like, oh shit, and I've seen 222s, 444s, 888s.
Yeah, it gets
Yeah,
to the point where
it's wild.
you can start predicting like what's gonna happen
Yeah,
next with like
yeah.
random
Because
events.
why? Well, why can you predict it? What's that called when you predict what happens next?
ESP,
Yeah, but what does
psychic
that make
ability,
you?
psychic.
Yeah, you're a psychic. It means you're fucking psychic.
Yeah,
And you're not schizophrenic. And you're not this and you're not that and whatever and you're a crazy person. Psychic, you're not allowed to be a psychic here.
no, you're
Because you're
not.
not allowed to know what happens before the government knows. You're not allowed. So you're schizophrenic now. Go to the hospital, goodbye.
Yeah, and plus, like I tried. I obviously I went to the psych ward for a week, and then I talked to a counselor and stuff, and like that doesn't change anything. Like that's not gonna make
Well,
this whole thing go away.
you're talking to social workers that don't give a fuck about you. They don't know what an empath is.
No,
They
yeah.
you have to talk to a real, therapist, and then you have to go for like a year, and then it's expensive, and you have to have insurance and all the shit.
So because you're in
Yeah.
there for a week, so now I guess you can't own any firearms, huh?
No, I can't. I'm not allowed to own any firearms. I got a felony on my record from a long time ago too,
Oh, that's because of the
for drug
felony.
related. Yeah,
None of that's gonna matter. I'm telling you, none of this matters. All that shit. And I tried to
yeah,
tell the other guy, it's not gonna matter. And he's like, why isn't it gonna matter? Because shit is going to hit the fan. If you haven't noticed, your economy's done. It's collapsed. It's already towering down, and it's like, so nothing nothing, all this petty shit people worry about, it just doesn't matter. It's not gonna matter when you're
yeah. I'm not
starving
worried.
today.
I'm not worried about any of that, anyways.
Yeah.
First of all, like it, I'm good to go with just selling my paintings and like getting a little job, 9 to 5 job here and there, wherever I need to do. In the
Work
meantime,
part time.
until shit really hits the fan, and then we're all gonna have to figure something new out anyway.
Yes, yes. Everyone is going to just be chaotic. No one's going to be able to control what's about to happen. There's going to be no control. So anything that the internet, you're going to lose communication sometimes because of the bombing or the earthquakes or something. Your towers aren't going to be where they used to be. Stuff like that.
Well, isn't the next great disasters will be the earthquake.
Yeah, well, there's just, I mean, you go, yeah, like a lot of stuff's happening. Like the magnetic north is moving, and
Like
um,
volcano could go off or something.
there's a huge drought in Nevada, California, Arizona, and New Mexico.
You know,
We're running out of
speaking of drought,
water in Lake Mead.
speaking of drought, like one thing that always fascinate me is how why is there groundwater? Like why is there so much water inside in the ground, deep in the ground?
Oh yeah, well that's years of Earth soaking that. I mean, that's like a lot of years Earth has been soaking that stuff up. It takes a long time to get like that, to get a underground water
So I'm trying to
large.
get an image. Like, is it just like dirt, soils, rocks, and then just all of a sudden, just all water?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, they call it the water tables, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Underground.
They're everywhere too. There's a lot.
So is it possible that the water could come from the Great Flood? Because I've noticed there's certain places where there's like sand or dirt that doesn't belong, like at a mountaintop, like residuals.
I don't know. There's a lot of sinkholes everywhere. And that's water, right? It's from water, isn't it? The sinkhole?
Yeah, I guess just building stuff on top of yeah, I guess could be moving current of
I don't know. So yeah, anyways, a lot of disasters are gonna happen, and just a lot of shit's not gonna matter. So just be happy. You're in a good space, and you're not a crazy person. But if they want to call you that, who cares? It's not gonna matter. That's what I'm trying to say. When in reality, it doesn't. People just are doing what they want right now. People are going to rob banks more. They're going to steal more. And there's just more important things than, petty ass shit to think about.
Yeah,
focus all on you right now. It's all about you.
Everything's getting so expensive. Like something's going to happen here soon, I feel like. Someone was telling me there's supposed to be a solar flare getting ready to happen.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I don't know what that would even do exactly. It could shut down the power grid, though.
Well.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's terrible. Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of terrible things. And when terrible things happen, you prioritize, and just nothing else matters.
I mean, there's not much that a person can really do to prepare for these natural disasters to happen.
Yeah. No, if you prepare mentally right now, that's what I'm saying.
Like the basic stuff, you know what I mean? Like you can do some basic preparedness, but in reality, you still gotta live your life, and it's probably better off not constantly thinking about, it's all gonna be over, or when it's gonna be over, or it's gonna happen one day. It's to me that's kind of like a fearful way of living in a way. It's kind of like giving up.
It can be for some people if they're afraid, but I don't think he's afraid. I think we all know now. Everybody knows. It's not a big secret.
Yeah.
And I think we're happy. I think everyone's happy about it. A lot of people are.
I feel like we're kind of ahead of the game since we can see the gang stalking and stuff, like how that's all working out. Most people, your average everyday person on the street has no clue about that stuff.
Well, I'm going to show you guys to what when the time comes why TIs are so special, and it's all going to make sense, and you guys are going to realize that there's a bigger purpose, and we're doing it right now as we're spreading the message and also educating or try to help the community. The first step is to help the community, and then we'll branch off into helping others whom are unaware of what's going on.
And see, they don't want us to do. They're trying to stop us from doing that too. Gang stalkers don't like. At least for me, anyways, they would always try to stop me from trying to help people.
Yeah. I noticed that anytime I did anything good, I'd get in trouble. Anytime I did any good for anybody, it would attack me.
Yeah, me too.
like a demonic entity.
Yeah.
Like it's an entity that moves around and there's only one tentacle, or like a squid, with 12 tentacles or something, operating on one brainwave.
Yeah.
Because the same thing's attacking you. It's just in a different body, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It all comes back to the same source point.
Anyone
I've
there?
heard I've heard a lot of people talking about that squid entity, like on a lot of other podcasts. There's people talking about like there's like squid entities in the astral realm.
I try to stay away from stuff like that because it just brings a lot of what ifs, and it seems like there's no end to it. But
Yeah, I'm
if there's
starting to see that.
if there's more videos, evidence, or at least some type of video showing, that claim, then I would be more interested in learning more about it, or try to find out what's going on. And so I want to ask you about. Did you watch that video I uploaded with the Survivor scene from the show Survivor with the shadow entity?
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that.
Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I'm getting mixed reviews, and for me it just seems so clear that I'm showing it, to everybody, that there's something unexplainable. I mean, to me, that's just what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think there's something there to it, but then at the same time, other people can see that and just write it off as, oh, that's just this or that. Just like, so it's hard to say how other people are going to react. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, you can show them all kinds of stuff, and they're just not going to see it for one reason or another.
Exactly. um I have a can you hear me?
Yeah,
I have a video. I don't know, do you want to listen to an audiobook a little
yeah,
bit?
yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm gonna end this stream in about 5-10 minutes, so I figured maybe I'll just play an audiobook. If you want to listen to it, you can. Otherwise, yeah, I'm probably gonna done with this stream. It
All
went on
right.
for longer. But I'm just gonna play a random section of this audiobook. Um, and you might, a lot of you are gonna be able to relate to this. I'm gonna play from the beginning, okay? And I'm gonna see if you can actually. I'm gonna try to share this screen, okay?
Okay.
Here begins the interview with the devil. I have uncovered the secret code by which I can pick up your thoughts. I have
Can
come
you
to
hear it?
ask you some very
Yes.
important questions. I
Can you
demand
see
that
this?
you give me direct
I
and
can't see it.
truthful
Can
answers.
hear it though.
Can you see
There.
it?
To the interview, Mr.
Now it came up. Yeah.
But
Okay.
you must address me with more respect.
So thank you for joining
During
me,
this interview, you will
and
address me as Your Majesty.
I'm
Since I have
gonna
what
just
right
let
do
this
you
play a little
demand
bit, and
such
I'm gonna end the
royal
stream.
respect? You should
All
know
right.
I
Yeah.
am
Thanks,
proud.
Seventh Handyman. It was nice talking to you.
You not
Yes,
think that
same here.
entitles
Thank
me
you
to
so
lay
much.
this
Enjoy me
royal-
next time.
Have you proof of your
Thanks for
claim?
everyone who
Yes, plenty of it.
who's here
But what does your proof consist of? Many
throughout this
humans.
entire live
If
stream,
you
and
want answers, you will address me as Your Majesty.
enjoy this audiobook.
Some
And
things you will understand.
until
Some
next
you will
time,
not.
Stream Hong signing
In order
out.
that you may get my viewpoint, I shall describe myself and correct the false notions people have of me and my place of abode. Well, that is a fine idea, Your Majesty. Start by telling me where you live, then describe your physical appearance. My physical appearance? Why, my dear Mr. Earthbound, I have no physical body. I would be handicapped by such an encumbrance as those in which you earthbound creatures live. I consist of negative energy, and I live in the minds of people who fear me. I also occupy 1/2 of every atom of physical matter and every unit of mental and physical energy. Perhaps you will better understand my nature if I tell you I am the negative portion of the atom. Oh, I see what you are preparing to claim. You were laying the foundation to say that if it were not for you, there would be no world, no stars, no electrons, no atoms, no human beings, nothing. Is that correct? True. Absolutely true. Well, if you only occupy one half of energy and matter, who occupies the other half? The other half is occupied by my opposition. Opposition? What do you mean? The opposition is what you earthbound call God. So you have the universe divided up with God. Is that your claim? Not my claim, but the actual fact. Before this interview is finished, you will understand why my claim is true. You will also understand why it has to be true, or there could be no world such as yours, no earthbound creatures such as you. I am no beast with a forked tongue and a spiked tail. But you do control the minds of 98 out of every 100 people. You said so yourself. Who causes all the misery in this 98% devil-controlled world if you do not? I have not said that I do not cause all the misery of the world. On the other hand, I boast of it. It is my business to represent the negative side of everything, including the thoughts of you earthbound people. How else could I control people? My opposition controls positive thought. I control negative thought. How do you gain control of the minds of people? Oh, that is easy. I merely move in and occupy the unused space of the human brain. I sow the seeds of negative thought in the minds of people so I can occupy and control the space. You must have many tricks and devices by which you gain and hold control of the human mind. To be sure, I employ tricks and devices to control human thought. My devices are clever ones, too. Go ahead and describe your clever tricks, Your Majesty. One of my cleverest devices for mind control is fear. I plant the seed of fear in the minds of people, and as these seeds germinate and grow, through use, I control the space they occupy. The 6 most effective fears are the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. Which of these 6 fears serves you most often, Your Majesty? The first and the last, poverty and death. At one time or another during life, I tighten my grip on all people through one or both of these. I plant these fears in the minds of people so deftly that they believe them to be their own creation. I accomplish this end by making people believe I am standing just beyond the entrance gate of the next life, waiting to claim them after death for eternal punishment. Of course, I cannot punish anyone, except in that person's own mind, through some form of fear. But fear of the thing which does not exist is just as useful to me as fear of that which does exist. All forms of fear extend the space I occupy in the human mind.
Doesn't this sound like the gang stalkers and what I've been teaching you guys with the no fear mentality? How this entity, this so-called devil, it's talking in depth about fear and how he uses fear against people.
Your Majesty, will you explain how you gained this control over human beings? The story is too long to be told in a few words. It began over 1,000,000 years ago when the first man began to think. Up to that time, I had control over all mankind, but enemies of mine discovered the power of positive thought, placed it in the minds of men, and then began a battle on my part to remain in control. So far, I have done quite well by myself, having lost only 2% of the people to the opposition. I take it from your answer that men who think are your enemies. Is that right? It is not right, but it is correct. Tell me something more about the world in which you live. I live wherever I choose. Time and space do not exist for me. I am a force best described to you as energy. My favorite physical dwelling place, as I have told you, is in the minds of the earthbound. I control a part of the brain space of every human being. The amount of space I occupy in each individual's mind depends upon how little and what sort of thinking that person does. As I have told you, I cannot entirely control any person who thinks. You speak of your opposition. Just what do you mean by that? My opponent controls all the positive forces of the world, such as love, faith, hope, and optimism. My opponent also controls the positive factors of all natural law throughout the universe, the forces which keep the Earth and the planets and all the stars balanced in their courses. But these forces are meek in comparison with those which operate in the human mind under my control. You see, I do not seek to control stars and planets. I prefer the control of human minds.
Where did you acquire your power, and by what means do you add to it?
I add to my power by appropriating the mind power of the earthbound as they come through the gate at the time of death. 98 out of every 100 who come back to my plane from the earth plane are taken over by me, and their mind power is added to my being. I get all who come over with any form of fear. You see, I am constantly at work, preparing the minds of people before death, so I can appropriate them when they come back to my plane.
Will you tell me how you go about your job of preparing human minds so you can control them?
I have countless ways of gaining control of human minds while they are still on the earth plane. My greatest weapon is poverty. I deliberately discourage people from accumulating material wealth because poverty discourages men from thinking and makes them easy prey for me. My next best friend is ill health. An unhealthy body discourages thinking. Then I have countless thousands of workers on Earth who aid me in gaining control of human minds. I have these agents placed in every calling. They represent every race and creed, every religion.
Doesn't that sound like the gang stalkers? How it's a hive mind and how all these people are involved somehow? Doesn't this story, this audiobook starting to show correlation with what we're experiencing? Now, this book was written in the 1930s. Okay, so remember that.
Who are your greatest enemies on Earth, Your Majesty?
All who inspire people to think and act on their own initiative are my enemies. Such men as Socrates, Confucius, Voltaire, Emerson, Thomas Paine, and Abraham Lincoln. And you are not doing me any good either.
Is it true that you use men who have great wealth?
As I have already told you, poverty is always my friend because it discourages independence of thought and encourages fear in the minds of men. Some wealthy men serve my cause, while others do me great damage, depending on how the wealth is used. The great Rockefeller fortune, for example, is one of my worst enemies.
That is interesting, Your Majesty. Will you tell me why you fear the Rockefeller fortune more than others?
The Rockefeller money is being used to isolate and conquer diseases of the physical body in all parts of the world. Disease has always been one of my most effective weapons. The fear of ill health is second only to the fear of poverty. The Rockefeller money is uncovering new secrets of nature in 100 different directions, all of which are designed to help men take and keep possession of their own minds. It is encouraging new and better methods of feeding, clothing, and housing people. It is wiping out the slums in the large cities, the places where my favorite allies are found. It is financing campaigns for better government and helping to wipe out dishonesty in politics. It is helping to set higher standards in business practice and encouraging businessmen to conduct business by the golden rule. And that is not doing my cause any good.
What about these boys and girls who are said to be on the road to hell? Are you in control of them?
Well, I can answer that question only with yes and no. I have corrupted the minds of the young by teaching them to drink and smoke. But they have me baffled through their tendency to think for themselves.
You say you have corrupted the minds of the young people with liquor and cigarettes. I can understand how liquor might destroy the power of independent thought, but do not see what cigarettes have to do with helping your cause.
You may not know it, but cigarettes break down the power of persistence. They destroy the power of endurance. They destroy the ability to concentrate. They deaden and undermine the imaginative faculty, and help in other ways to keep people from using their minds most effectively. Do you know I have millions of people, young and old of both sexes, who smoke 2 packages of cigarettes a day? That means I have millions of people who are gradually destroying their power of resistance. One day I shall add to their habit of cigarette smoking other thought-destroying habits, until I shall have gained control of their minds. Habits come in pairs, triplets, and quadruplets. Any habit which weakens one's willpower invites a flock of its relatives to move in and take possession of the mind. The cigarette habit not only lowers the power of resistance and discourages persistence, but it invites looseness in other human relationships.
I never thought that cigarettes were a tool of destruction, Your Majesty, but your explanation throws a different light on the subject. How many converts to the habit do you now claim? I am proud of my record. Millions are now victims, and the number is increasing daily. Soon I shall have most of the world indulging in the habit. In thousands of families, I now have followers of the habit, including every member of the family. Very young boys and girls are beginning to take up the habit. They are learning how to smoke by observing their parents and older brothers and sisters. Which do you consider to be your greater tool for gaining control of human minds, cigarettes or liquor? Without hesitation, I would say cigarettes. Once I get a young person to join my 2-package-a-day club, I have no trouble in inducing that person to take on the habit of liquor, overindulgence of sex, and all other related habits which destroy independence of thought and action. Your Majesty, when I began this interview, I had you all wrong. I thought you were a fraud and a fake, but I see now that you are quite real and very powerful. Your apology is accepted, but you need not have bothered. Millions of people have questioned my power, and I got most of them at the gate as they came over. I ask no person to believe in me. I prefer that people fear me. I am no beggar. I take what I want by cleverness and force. Begging people to believe is the business of my opposition, not mine. Your Majesty will please pardon my rudeness, but I would not be able to look myself in the face again if I did not tell you, here and now, that you are the damnedest fiend ever to be turned loose on innocent people. I always had the wrong conception of you. I thought you were kind enough to let people alone while they were living, that you merely tortured their souls after death. Now I learn from your own brazen confession that you destroy their right to freedom of thought and cause them to go through a living hell on earth. What do you have to say to that? I get what I want by exercising self-control. It is not so good for my own business, but I suggest you emulate me instead of criticizing me. You call yourself a thinker, and you are. Otherwise, you would never have forced this interview on me. But you will never be the sort of thinker that frightens me unless you gain and exercise greater control over your own emotions. Let us get away from personalities. I came here to learn more about you, not to discuss myself. Please go ahead and tell me of the many tricks you have devised for gaining control of the human mind. What is your most powerful weapon just now? That is a difficult question to answer. I have so many devices for entering human minds and controlling them that it is difficult to say which are the most powerful. Right at the moment, I am trying to bring about another world war. My friends here in Washington are helping me to involve America in the war. If I can start the world to killing on a wholesale basis, I shall be able to put into operation my favorite device for mind control. It is what you call mass fear. I used this device to bring about the other World War in 1914. I used it to bring about the economic depression in 1929. And if my opposition had not double-crossed me, I would now be in possession of every man, woman, and child in the world. You can see for yourself how near I came to world domination, the thing I have been struggling to attain for thousands of years. Yes, I see your point. Who wouldn't? You are a very ingenious manipulator of the minds of people. Is your devilish business carried on only through people of high position and great influence? Oh, no. I use the minds of people in all walks of life. As a matter of fact, I prefer the type of person who makes no pretense of thinking. I can manipulate that sort of person without difficulty. I could not control 98% of the people of the world if all people were skilled in thinking for themselves. I'm interested in the welfare of those people whom you claim to control. Therefore, I wish you to tell me all of the tricks by which you enter and control their minds. I want a complete confession from you, so begin with your cleverest trick. This is suicide you are forcing on me, but I am helpless. So settle down, and I will place in your hands the weapon by which millions of your fellow earthbound will defend themselves against me. Tell me first about your most clever trick, the one you use to ensnare the greatest number of people. If you force me to give away this secret, it will mean my loss of millions of people now living, and still greater numbers of millions as yet unborn. I beg of you, permit me to pass this one question unanswered. So His Majesty the Devil fears a mere humble earthbound creature? Is that right? It is not right, but it is true.
You have no right to rob me of my most necessary tool of trade. For millions of years I have dominated earthbound creatures through fear and ignorance. Now you come along and would destroy my use of these weapons by forcing me to tell how I use them. Do you not realize that you will break my grip on every person who heeds this confession you are forcing from me? Have you no mercy? Have you no sense of humor? Have you no sportsmanship?
Stop stalling and start confessing. Who are you to ask mercy of one whom you would destroy if you could? Who are you to talk of sportsmanship and a sense of humor? You, who by your own confession have set up a living hell on earth, where you punish innocent people through their fears and ignorance. As for minding my own business, that is just what I'm doing when I force you to tell how you control people through their own minds. My business, if it can be called a business, is helping to unlock the doors of the self-made prisons in which men and women are confined because of the fears you have planted in their minds.
My greatest weapon over human beings consists of two secret principles by which I gain control of their minds. I will speak first of the principle of habit, through which I silently enter the minds of people. By operating through this principle, I establish, I wish I could avoid using this word, the habit of drifting. When a person begins to drift on any subject, he is headed straight toward the gates of what you earthbound call hell.
Describe all the ways in which you induce people to drift. Define the word and tell us exactly what you mean by it.
I can best define the word drift by saying that people who think for themselves never drift, while those who do little or no thinking for themselves are drifters. A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind. He would rather let me occupy his mind and do his thinking than go to the trouble of thinking for himself. A drifter is one who accepts whatever life throws in his way without making a protest or putting up a fight. He doesn't know what he wants from life and spends all of his time getting just that. A drifter has lots of opinions, but they are not his own. Most of them are supplied by me. A drifter is one who is too lazy mentally to use his own brain. That is the reason I can take control of people's thinking and plant my own ideas in their minds.
I think I understand what a drifter is. Tell me the exact habits of people by which you induce them to drift through life. Start by telling me when and how you first gained control of a person's mind.
My control over the mind of a human being is obtained while the person is young. Sometimes I lay the foundation for my control of a mind before the owner of it is born, by manipulating the minds of that person's parents. Sometimes I go further back than this and prepare people for my control through what you earthbound call physical heredity. You see, therefore, I have two approaches to the mind of a person.
Yes. Go on, and describe these two doors by which you enter and control the minds of human beings.
As I have stated, I help to bring people into your world with weak brains by giving to them before birth as many as possible of the weaknesses of their ancestors. You call this principle physical heredity. After people are born, I make use of what you earthbound call environment as a means of controlling them. This is where the principle of habit enters. The mind is nothing more than the sum total of one's habits. One by one, I enter the mind and establish habits, which lead finally to my absolute domination of the mind.
Tell me of the most common habits by which you control the minds of people.
That is one of my cleverest tricks. I enter the minds of people through thoughts which they believe to be their own. Those most useful to me are fear, superstition, avarice, greed, lust, revenge, anger, vanity, and plain laziness. Through one or more of these, I can enter any mind, at any age. But I get my best results when I take charge of a mind while it is young, before its owner has learned how to close any of these 9 doors. Then I can set up habits which keep the doors ajar forever.
Okay, I'm going to stop here. But that last paragraph sounds a lot like lower voice to skull. And it says right here, I enter the minds of people through thoughts which they believe to be their own. So I've always been teaching you guys that the lower voice to skull is feeding you thoughts. And a lot of you out there need to start paying attention to where your thoughts all of a sudden come from and why it would come in during that time, usually taking away your focus. So be mindful and start paying more attention to these thoughts that are coming in, because most likely throughout your whole life you've been thinking those thoughts are yours, but a lot of them are not, and usually those are the negative thoughts. So thank you for joining me, and please join me again next time. Shimon signing out.